Yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Rise of the Womb Oracle Summit. I am your host, Athena Sai. I am an oracle and wisdom keeper of the Blue Rose Codes, and I've really been called to bring together women from all walks of life with different gifts and abilities to really anchor in our divinity, anchoring in that oracular ability to receive messaging from divine and anchoring it into the actual body through the creative and birthing power of the womb. And so I'm really excited today because I get to bring in Leslie Baker, who is, I call her a visionary artist. She is an intuitive artist, a psychic, and a medium. And her specialty is channeling the energy that she receives and feels from spirit into actual visual art. So she does this on an individual basis for clients, along with creating spirit guide art and mini collections of prints and paintings. So hello, Leslie, how are you?
I am good. Hello. I'm super excited to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming. And I just want to say that, um, I have had several, actually four pieces done by you. One
That's
was
right.
One was my own soul, like my higher self soul art, which was incredible.
Yeah.
I was like flying on a white peacock with like feathers in my hair, and the earth was like exploding
Yeah.
lava, and it was amazing. Bees all around me.
The
And the
bees.
other
Yeah.
one, yeah. And then the other one was of my guide, which we found was Teresa of, I want to say Avili. Is it Avili? Oh, I might have said that wrong, but
Yeah.
she was really prevalent in my life, and she was kind of guiding me into this like poetic creative space. And I love that you did that. And then you also did one of each of my kids when they were younger, like a year, probably 2 years ago actually.
Yeah.
So I have worked with you and I love your process. So let's talk a little bit about what the term or the phrase womb oracle, what does that stir within you?
Well, I was kind of meditating on this today, and what I really like, there's so much that comes up with that, of course. Like I really resonate with the fact that we are creating through our, I guess, our creative sexual womb energy, and that's, I hold like in my, specifically in my body, I hold a lot of my emotions, my stress, my passions, my love, like all in that area. Um, we kind of talked about this before the call, but I have PCOS. So I always know, like my body always tells me, I guess it's like speaking through that area when like I am not aligned, basically. Um, and but yeah, I was meditating on this today and just kind of asking spirit, like, what I should like kind of speak about on the call. And like I kept being shown the earth. Almost like, yeah, the earth is this giant cosmic womb that we are kind of like not like born into, but like are born a part of. Um, so yeah, that's kind of like my, I guess, fast snapshot of like what I think of the womb, if that makes sense.
It does, and I love that you said that you saw that and you felt that, like not just living here, but part of. And that's something that's been coming up a
Yeah.
lot for me is like, we hear it like we're a holographic imprint of the universe, and the universe is doing it, and the stars is within us. But then when we actually like really connect to those energies, it's like, holy crap, that's right. We are of the earth. Like she is us and we are her. And I think that's
Yeah.
why, again, like I've been kind of called to bring people together. It's because we are in this phase where we've done so much of the external work and the inner work, even to release what's no longer serving us, and all the shadowy stuff that's been coming up, the resistance we've been feeling, the wounding. We've really been like spotlighting that. It seems like the universe, the planets, the stars have been spotlighting that for us, so we can come into a space where we're creating from love. We're creating
Yeah.
through our body, through the creative sexual powers, right? Our original codes of creation is of bliss and
Yeah.
ecstasy. And how can we come back to that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That really resonates with me, absolutely. And one of the themes, like I'm kind of just finding right now, with myself and just like with clients and friends and everything, is that there's this like coming back into our body. And I think as we like, come back into our body and like are more like, because we've done all this like shadow work, we've woken up, whatever, like we've gone on these like crazy spiritual journeys, talking with spirit. Like I didn't know I was a psychic 2 years ago. You know what I mean? Like I was just like in this like crazy awakening energy. But right now, like I really feel that it's important to get back into the body. And like, what does that mean? Like, and I guess like when I go back into my body, I start to really like, I'm really aware of like how much I spend outside of my body and like how much my nervous system is like frayed. And I take that as like a mirror as to what's kind of going on with the earth at the same time. We're going back to the earth, but like there's like there's almost like a frayedness to the earth, and like in a sense, like she's also becoming aware that she doesn't like what we've been doing and things like that. So yeah, I really resonate with that in that sense, and like that's the theme I'm seeing, is just to really get back into our bodies in a way where we're just comfortable with being, and like it's not like I guess aligned with our work, our jobs, or whatever, and it's just being comfortable with being like present in the moment. So yeah.
Yeah. And I've been feeling that too. It's like this, it's almost foreign because I'm not really used to it, but it's
Yeah.
like the sense of peace when you are present. And it's like, yeah, there's all these other things that are happening around, and there might be some worries or struggles, something that you might be dealing with relationships or work or whatever. But like when you really get present, it's like this stillness comes over you, and it's like you just have this knowing that everything's going to be okay.
Absolutely. And you know what? I like that you say that it's foreign, because it's so foreign that it actually makes me nervous, like going back into my body. Like I get anxious. But when you hit that spot that you're talking about, where you're like, okay, I can put the phone down, I can like really just be with myself, like everything is okay. You don't need to worry for the moment. It does feel very blissful and euphoric. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's just us maybe like retraining ourselves because we're so used.
Yeah.
I mean, our culture in America, our culture is very heavily in the mind. Like it's always thinking, going. It's in that forward motion drive, go, 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 conquer. And I think so many of us are really being called, like you said, the earth is literally calling us back home to her and to our bodies and to that present moment, and understanding that it takes time and practice to kind of refine and reframe like where
Yeah.
we're at, and coming into the now. And I don't know where I heard this quote, but I actually like painted it on a mural poster thing that I have in my room, but it says your brilliance is in this now moment. And I'm like,
Mm,
oh yeah, we can't create any longer from the mind. We need to create as we're channeling spirit and in through our bodies, right?
yeah.
So that
Yeah.
kind of leads me into like, you're an amazing artist. And I
Thank you.
love how you share like your process. So for those people watching, can you share like what is your process to connect and to bring spirit in and to create, right? You're creatively expressing this soul art. What is that like for you?
Yeah. I guess first of all, I want to say like I feel like anyone can do this. So I guess I like to lead with that. But what I do, I make such an intense process, and this is I don't know why I do it this way, but it kind of evolved. I like to set up an altar, and it's just part of what I do. And the altar, has all the elements on it: fire, water, always a plant, wood, incense, and like I always like to like add like make like some pretty crystals with flowers. And then what I do is I meditate just to clear my mind. And then I meditate with the client's energy. And I'll kind of sit with their energy for like a good hour if I'm doing art before I even start to draw. And I keep a notebook by me, and I just like the movie starts to play. You know what I mean? Like you start to get I mean, I'm so visual with my gifts. Like it comes straight from the third eye. Like pure imagination space, and it just starts like playing out like this like crazy movie. Some of it's very cartoon like, and then some of it will be very vivid and like, like 3D like. And whenever that happens, I know like pay attention because those are really strong messages there. And usually that's where people are like, holy shit, what? So then I keep like a notebook next to me and I just like I doodle like really bad drawings basically. And then what I do is I take my iPad, and this part is, I think, interesting. I use my iPad as an oracle. So what I do is like I start putting together like a mini mood board based on everything I just saw, like colors, theme, kind of like I don't know, just overall hand I want to do for the art. You know what I mean? And I just start like compiling like images. Doing that, and it's so weird to me because like I will like I go to Pinterest to do these things, and like I will go to like my home page, and like it will like it never fails. I swear to God, every time there'll be like an image just sitting there that I had just seen as I'm meditating, and I'm like, okay, here we go, and like I just kind of follow the rabbit hole, and I don't judge myself. Like I do so much meditating, I guess, like prior, where I can just let myself flow. I'm not like, is that it? Is it not? Like I just go. And then after I kind of do that, then I just start making it. Um, During the process, I do chant, like I continue to channel. And now I think whenever you make any kind of art, you're channeling. But I do listen to spirit, like if I'm putting something on the page and it's like not working and I'm trying to work it and I'm like, but I saw it in the vision, it has to go. Like I will listen, like take that off, something else has to go instead, or like move this over here or whatever. And like I'll hear little phrases, and I always keep my notebook next to me and jot it down because I won't remember. So when I do finally talk to the client, then I have like, I can like jog my memory. But yeah, I do that for like 2 days, and then it's not until after I kind of like leave it alone for a day, and then I pick it back up, and then I like read it like an oracle card, which is where the readings come from. So yeah, so it's kind of a wild, intense process, but that's how I got there. Yeah.
I love that. And I love that when it's finished, after you've let it simmer for a couple days, right? Like you let it simmer, then
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this is the messaging. Like that's amazing to me that it happens in that way. And you put so much love and devotion, and you have that ritual that helps you to anchor, right? And it helps you to ground, it helps you to clear, and it helps you to bring in those messages for your clients. I just think that's so amazing.
Well, thanks. Yeah, your spirit guide art was actually one of the more magical ones that I did, because I remember being very, I get on these kicks where I'm like, I have to be so accurate. Is this right? Which is like totally like, I'm going through a phase now where I'm like realizing like, when I first started doing this stuff, like that was insane to like try to make like, what like you're trying to like make everything perfect, like in spirit world, like none of that makes sense. But anyways, I was really set on getting your name right for some reason. I was like in this mode. I was like, I'm gonna get this name super accurate, and I wasn't getting it. And I remember allowing. I was like, please, like use. Like I had my notebook, and I was like, just use my body to write the name or whatever. And so I did like automatic writing, and then like it came out kind of funky, and I showed it to you, and I was like, I think this says Saint Teresa, but like I wasn't sure. And like you were like, no, absolutely, this is it. And I was like, wow, it just gave me like chills, all the confirmation behind it.
Oh yeah, because it was literally like some scribbles, and you're like, I'm not quite sure, and I'm like, I know exactly, knew exactly what it said, and I was like, and it wasn't like I had that intention, but I had pulled that card that morning, like she came up a couple different times for me, and like I was diving deeper into like that eroticism with the Christ energy,
Yeah.
and like how she was she was a nun basically, and she was like showing people like a path to the Christed energy through like passion. And so I just think that it
Yeah.
was super cool because that's kind of the path that I'm being guided to explore more and more. So it totally made sense. And I love that you brought that
Yeah.
forward. It's really beautiful art as well. So
Yeah, and she actually has like, just speaking of her, doesn't she have like she had like a lot of very profound experiences when it comes to like the womb and like creativity and stuff like that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting that she's like
yeah,
coming forward right now. Yeah.
yeah, very exotic.
Orgasmic. Didn't she have like orgasmic experiences with like art and stuff? And she was like trying to like, she was a bit of like a rebel, I guess, when it came
Yes,
to
in those
yeah,
times she was, and I believe that she was a writer. I mean, she had many, many writings. She has the Inner Castle, and I think there might be a couple other books that she wrote. But she literally, it was through ecstasy. She connected
yeah.
through. I don't know, there's this sculpture, and please forgive me for those watching, like I didn't brush up on this beforehand, but there's a sculpture where it's like the Christ is like piercing her heart, and that's like that ecstatic eros kind of energy that's like, take me. It's like, take me, I am
Yeah.
yours, I am your channel, what do you want me to do? Like that kind of energy coming forward. And she, yeah, she I think she led a lot of women to their discovery of their own empowerment through, what maybe once was like shunned. Like she's like, no, this is a pathway to the divine.
Yeah. I love the way you phrase that.
Yeah,
And I love like how she's working through and with you to do this today. So yeah.
I love it, I love it. So let's go back a little bit because we are
Okay.
talking. I mean, when we're connecting
Yeah.
with the womb, it really is more of that feminine energy. And I always think of like the goddess when I think of the womb, or the mother, right? The divine mother.
Yeah.
So when did you first maybe hear the call of the goddess or the mother or even the womb? Like, how did that start to show up for you?
I you mean like when it comes to like how like working spiritually? Is that like
Well, yeah, like sometimes it's like I can
yeah.
remember back in the early days, like I would have an imaginary friend
Mm,
that was like an
yeah.
energy, it was like an angel, right? Or like, and then I would say even in the last few years, like it came through Mary Magdalene and Isis for me, and then Mother Mary, and then like it stemmed off. So was there any like goddess or deity that really called to your heart to like deepen in your spiritual practice?
Yeah, for sure Mother Mary. I always like she, I know that she's not one of like the fun, like I guess trendy, new age ones, but I always go back to her. I always like when things are rough, I pray the rosary. And it is powerful. It is, I don't know what it is about it, but I have seen like if I do it one day, the next day, like things will shift. And there's so much comfort in it for some reason. And I'm not coming from like a religious point of view either, because I know a lot of people in the spiritual community have like gone through religious trauma. I'm speaking solely from like, I guess, the energy of Mother Mary, and not like what religion has made her out to be. Um, as far as like when these things started, she was one of the first things that kind of got me doing art, which I think is interesting, and I'll tell a little story. But when I was younger, I definitely like my imagination was insane, and I definitely had an imaginary friend. My dreams were like just wild. I can tell you dreams that I've had when I was 5 years old now. And I like it was like I lived another life, and I knew that in a sense. And then they became like prophetic at times, and I dismissed them just because I was told that they're just dreams. But just like even as I got older, like I dreamt like right before I think Hurricane Katrina, I dreamt of like people in stadiums and like trains going through the sky. And like, after that happened, people had talked about like it felt like they heard like sounds like trains or something. I can't remember, but I remember being like, damn, like this shit is lining up. And then like in high school and grade school, like I remember in grade school, it's just like little things like I would dream like a friend would sleep over and then they would ask me to like sleep over. You know what I mean? So I always thought that was cool. But yeah, Mother Mary, when I first started doing this like intuitive art, I drew, it was like I started meditating a lot like over the pandemic. And then I would get these visuals and I had this thing like I'm gonna make it into something, And there was one night that I drew her. I basically saw her. She came in like very more like galactic looking, I guess, with like, like a blue diamond in her whatever her third eye. And I drew her kind of like off to the side. It was just strange the way I drew her, but beautiful. It was really pretty. I posted her online, and then like people were like, "Hey, I want a drawing," whatever. And like it kind of started from that. But what's weird is the next day I walked into. It's just the synchronicities, Like I always like to listen to them. I walked into a coffee shop, and on the shelf, just glaring at me was strangely how I drew her was like a face, like kind of off to the side with like flower placements, like everything like I had done, like it was just like identical. And I remember I took two pictures of it and showed people, and I was like, isn't this weird? So yeah, I definitely think she is one of my favorite goddesses. And then Saint Anne. I mean, Saint Anne is Mary's mother. I feel like I love her so much. Yeah. I love her so much, but she's somebody who like I learned about through this reader in New York that I used to go see, and I always feel like Saint Anne was like she did. I was always like nervous to work with her, I guess, but she's definitely around. Yeah. So those are my two favorites.
And I love that that is a lineage of divine birth priestesses,
Is
because
it?
Mother Mary was also conceived by light, immaculate conception, just like Jesus
Yeah.
was.
Yeah.
So it
Oh,
is,
really? I didn't know that. Okay.
yeah, so it actually is the living lineage
Wow.
of light and birth priestesses, which are people who can, procreate onto themselves. What is it
Wow.
called? Parthenogenesis, right? It's this
Wow.
ability to be impregnated by the divine without any male. So there's a lot of like internal weaving and things that will be happening in
That's
that and
crazy.
light conception, but it is actually, it's a real thing. There are cases. One of the
Wow.
women that I interviewed for this, Marguerite Rigloso, she wrote an amazing book that is here. I have it right here. I've listened to it on Audible like 1,000 times. The Mystery Tradition of Miraculous Conception, Mary, and the Lineage of Virgin Births. So
Wow.
you might
I
really,
want to read that.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's amazing.
In my head, I'm like, let's try this shit out. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but
But and there's probably a reason
wow.
that they're coming. And I feel like I'm really like, my two biggest mentors are Isis and Mother Mary. Like, these
Okay.
two big powerhouses, but they're oftentimes showing me that lineage of divine birth, and how the oracles are really helping to assist humanity in making changes for the betterment of our planet, and how we are doing this first with our own selves, and then how we are, really becoming stewards for the planet. And I think that, the work that you're doing also offers that, because you're helping people to connect to their own spirit as well as their guides, and that can be so powerful for people. So can you explain like any, or share any other, I mean, because I know mine was really cool, but was there any others that you had sat with and really made a good strong connection? You don't of course have to share their names, but were there any other guides that came forward for you during the process that you're like, wow, this is incredible?
Yeah. First of all, you have to share that book with me because I just have chills. And like as you're speaking, I feel like Saint Anne's a little mad that I haven't drawn her. So just FYI, I feel like I'm getting a little like Why haven't you drawn me yet? Because I've drawn her in my notebook a million times, and like I haven't like brought her to life through color. But anyways,
Oh,
um, yeah, yeah,
goosebumps.
yeah. She's a little feisty. You know what I mean? Like I feel her energy being a little like, are you gonna do it? Like get your shit together. But anyways, yes, I mean, I have so many stories with the art. The one that comes through like right away, with the guides is, I think I could share her name, Jess from the Soul Purpose. Jessica Shaw. This experience, it was the first guide art I ever did. And what happened is, before she ever even came to me to do her guide art, I met her guide. And I was in New York because I had flown back, to work, my fashion job. And I was there for 2 weeks. It was the last day I was there. And I was alone in the office. And we did like photo shoots there. So there was like the photo paper set up in the room, and it was by the kitchen. So I remember I was walking to the kitchen, and it was dark because there was no photographer there that day. It was just me. And I walked past the photo area, and I just had like massive chills, and I was like, what the hell is standing over on that paper? And I froze, and like I hope there's no cameras in that office, because I froze, and it called me to come stand in the middle of it. And I have chills head to toe telling the story, and I want to cry even because it's a very moving entity. And so I froze, and I remember I was like, I guess no one's here. I'll go stand in the middle of it. Let's do it. Let's get weird. So I went and stood in the middle of this paper, and it was like, boom, like this thing. First of all, it was a little jarring. So that's why I was a little nervous, because it had these like insane kind of like, I thought it was the Mothman, because it had like these giant wings and whatever. And it wasn't like I actually saw it. It was just what I was perceiving in my third eye. So I went and stood in it, and I could just feel like it was just like everything and nothing all at once. And I just lost my shit. I started crying, and I stood there for a little bit, and then I called my friend. I was like, I don't know what's going on. Things are super weird. And she's like, no, no, you're fine. You're just like tired of being in New York. You want to go home or whatever. And I was like, no, this is like something really profound just happened. So I kind of forgot about it. And then 2 months later, Jess came to me, and she's like, hey, have you ever like considered doing guide art? And I was like, I don't know if I could do that. And she was like, I have this guide, and it really has been bugging me to like have you channel it. And I was like, okay, I'll try. Like, I'll do it. And then like you can tell me like if this is right or wrong. Like, this is how I was early on. Like, is it right? Is it wrong? And then when I sat down with that energy, that all those feelings came back, and I remembered that moment, and I was like, I met this guide. I remember it. I met it in New York. It's like half dragon, half octopus, like super weird. I don't even know how to like, yeah. And I kind of started drawing it in my notebook, and I showed it to her. I was like, this is what I got. And she was like, that's exactly what it is. I've been waiting for someone to do this. And yeah, kind of a long story. Sorry.
No, I
But yeah.
love every part of it because, our creative process is so unique to each one of us. And then when you add, that ability to feel, sense, know, see, spirit, it just takes it up a whole nother octave. I had
Yeah.
goosebumps too when you were speaking of that. So how incredible that transmission, that art, that guide is still kind of working through you here as well too. So
Oh yeah. Yeah.
it just takes that one, right? It just takes that one experience to get our curiosity going, and just to be like, you know what, why not? Like, if you knew and felt like you were safe, then go for it, and do that. So that's just incredible that you met a Mothman, octopus, dragon.
I love it when I say these things out loud, because they sound insane, but like really it is all coming, like it's not as 3D, I guess. It's all perceived through the third eye. And I was reading something the other day. I was going through, like one of my mentors is in New York, and she's like, my boss would take me to go see her during the day, and like we would get readings done from her. And that was kind of my first introduction to this world, I guess, to this, like, oh, like you can have like a job doing this, and like this is great. Like I just wanted to like live in her like little space, but I was pulling out because she taught a class once and I attended it. And like I was pulling out my notes the other day from that. And she said something in there that really hit me. And it was like, when you encounter these saints or these entities or whatever they are, guides, higher aspects of ourselves, she's like, sometimes the most profound things you learn from them is really through feeling. And that's, I think, a good example of that, because like it wasn't so much of like the way this guide looked. It was like everything that I could feel in my body, this everything and nothing all at once feeling was just super expansive. So yeah.
Wow, that's so powerful. And yeah, our ability to
I'm
tap
sweating.
into the subtle energies around us, right? And feeling that and seeing that and being able to touch into that. And then what you also said was this feeling of everything and nothing. That's like the power of the Gaian womb as well as the cosmic womb. So,
Oh,
earlier you spoke of the earth as the womb, right? Like, and that is true. She is that Gaian earth womb, that everything and nothing resides there, as well as the cosmic. And so it's just this beautiful weaving that you're doing through what you're sharing, and how it does hit notes on those aspects of the womb energy. And it is a place of creation as well as dissolution, so it'll dissolve what no longer needs to be there, so it can create
oh,
more life, more life, more life. um
wow.
so
That's
that's
interesting you say that, because I pulled some cards for this, not knowing if I like should have them out or not. You know what I mean? Like if I should mention them. Um, but that is kind of what came up with these cards. It was kind of this cycling of the cards are like the East Gate and the West Gate, and then in between them, I'll just kind of like in between them is kind of like I think where we're standing at with like the earth basically. But it feels like this kind of like receiving and exiting energy, the cycle of life, and how it's like circling and how important it is to honor that circle. But the card that came up in the middle I think is interesting because it's kind of like a sad card to see, but it's a reminder of like where we are at. Like this is what is happening to our mother earth womb right now. I take this as both like on like a micro level and a macro level, like a zoomed in and a zoomed out version. So like this is all of us trying to heal, like I guess our inner capitalism and our going and trying to create from this like almost like dirty space. Like it's not a clean channel, it's not that clean, passionate from the heart space energy, because we're doing it probably to make money, right? So yeah, it's interesting, I guess, these cards I have laying out in front of me. So yeah.
Well, I like that because I also am a very visual, so I am clairvoyant too. And so I actually had a vision, I don't know, may within the last year probably, and it was like the message I got was the in between worlds. And it was like that destruction. I could see the darkness, and I could see buildings crumbling and people were suffering, and it was like, oh my gosh. But then on the other side, like I saw this utopian kind of, like Eden, new earth energy. And I was like walking in between it, and I was like weaving in and out of it. And it was like, we
Mm.
are in that space where we're seeing so much destruction in the world, and we're feeling so much inside of us. And some of us might not even be aware of all the feelings, because we are collectively becoming so much more sensitive to the energies around us. And so some people are like, I have no idea, and they're like kind of losing it. So there's that destruction, like you said,
Yeah.
the micro and the macro. But I had that vision, and one of the cards that I created in my recent deck that I made was the alchemy card, and it's all about transmutation, and it was about this world falling apart around us, but yet we were completely in our presence, in our sacred circle of empowerment, or the medicine wheel. We were in that neutral zone, and that's what helped us to get through it. So we were able to
Yeah.
refine ourselves and work on ourselves enough to come to a neutral space instead of allowing fear and pain and just all the destruction to affect us. We were able to be neutral, and that's what brought in more of that Eden kind of energy. So I think that with the cycles, like we are that middle point, and when we come neutral, the cycles are still moving around us, but it's not going to affect us emotionally as much, right? If we can
Yeah.
come into that neutral space.
Yeah. That's a really profound vision you had because I feel like it's such a good way to describe what we're doing. Like I think people underestimate how important the work is that we're doing with just ourselves. Not doing readings for others, art for others, whatever, but like I guess, mending of our own internal space. As we're doing that, like you said, you're weaving that into the grid now. So we're making it's like almost like a computer program. We're adding that aspect into it, and it's like we're hacking it in a sense, by weaving these new ideas, these new energies in where we are, centered, where we are neutral, where we're healing that. So it's extremely important work that we're doing, I feel like, just on an individual level. Like if you never even touched a tarot card or, did any like work with spirit, like just kind of working on that is, I think, really beautiful.
Yeah. And that's where it all
Yeah.
starts, right? It all stems from within. And
Yeah.
and like you said, yes, like some of us have a calling to like share more and be more visible and be more present with other people, but it's also can be such an individual process, and that is enough as well. So I just, yeah, I love our conversations. I love how our like visions are like molding and dancing together today. It feels really cool.
Yeah, it does. It's awesome. I was
So,
really excited to do this with you because, like, I just love you so much. So this is
aw.
amazing.
Well, I knew
Yeah.
I had this feeling like we were supposed to do something together, and then things fell through, and it was like, you're it. You like posted something on Facebook one morning, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh,
What was
I just saw your face
it?
one morning. I'm like, oh, I need to reach out. So
Yeah.
I'm glad
Yeah.
that you said yes. So let's go back a little bit more to the
Okay.
womb. And I mean, I know we've been kind of talking about all of this already, right? But
Yeah.
are there any profound moments when you felt, sorry, there's a fly in here, when you felt,
I saw.
have there been any profound moments when you overcame life's difficulties because of your spiritual connections and really, that connection to your womb space?
Yeah. I mean, absolutely. And I guess I don't phrase it like, or I guess I don't look at it like I overcame it with my spiritual connections. But it's almost like, I felt, I guess I was like aided. You know what I mean? And I guess I didn't overcome things, but I've been able to grow and open up doors of perspective in my mind, in my body, that have allowed me to just flow through life a little easier, I guess. Does that make sense? And that, I guess, there are moments before, I guess, I woke up, if you like, for lack of better words, where I did feel like presence of things that helped me, like just little things. Like I remember as a little girl, like I almost fell down an escalator, and I remember I just very clearly feeling somebody just like push me back up. Like I remember telling my mom, I'm like, no, someone, like, I felt like, had their hand on my back and pushed me up. And like, but I don't know if she believed me at the time, but little instances like that, like for sure, like I had some crazy health issues, that I did seek spiritual help with, and like through that mentor that I have in New York, and like I did see like a massive change. But yeah, like now that I guess I'm awake, it's really about these opening of like doors of perspective, that is the gift, you know?
Yeah. And I've been experiencing that more and more too. I see myself on this crystalline, DNA spiral staircase basically. And it's like, oh, today I'm opening this one. Today I'm going to open this
Wow.
one. And with the opening, of course, also comes more of the shadow work and the inner work that
Yeah.
we do, because I feel like, it is amazing when we can open up that consciousness. But I think really a lot of the path to it for me personally as a Scorpio, with like so much Scorpio in my charts, but like is the shadow aspect, is the depths, is going deeper in to find those little golden nuggets. So yeah, I see that. I see those doors opening, and I see that spiral staircase, the spiral of life that's still moving through all of us. So I love that you said those doorways, because I can relate to that.
Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know you were a Scorpio. That's awesome.
Yeah, Scorpio midhaven too, and I think there's something else Scorpio in my chart, but I can't remember. I love
Okay.
the
Yeah.
depths. What can I say? Okay,
Yeah. What
so
else is
okay, let me see. We're doing good on time. So,
okay?
okay, so why do you feel that people are awakening to our gifts so much more now these days?
Well, I do. Yeah, I feel like I want to tread carefully a little bit with this question, just because I guess like there's there's a lot of like this big awakenings happening, and like I don't want to like I guess go with these big rabbit hole conspiracy type of things. You know what I mean? But why are people waking up more these days? I do feel like there is a general huge collective shift going on where we are I guess changing the set of the movie right now. Is the best way to describe it. I feel like we are moving from this, for lack of better words, this like masculine, like pushing era, um, unconscious, into the divine feminine flow of things. And in order to do that, I feel like we need to, I guess, it's only natural that we wake up, so that we can flow with this new energy that's like hitting the planet, that's hitting the earth. And like, I don't know, like I listen to like a lot of people talk about, what's going on this huge level. And some of the things that like really resonate with me, I listened to this one guy, and I think he's Native American, and he speaks like from Canada, and he's talking about like how it's like natural every certain thousands of years for the planet to do this. And so we are part of the planet, and we are part of its consciousness. So we are just on this cycle with it. We are on the waking up part of this, where we're going to start becoming more, I hope, more aligned with nature and things like that.
And
Yeah. What do you think about that? I guess. Like, what are your? Because
so
I
much.
always kind of, yeah. I mean, there's more, of course, but yeah, you go.
Well, I mean, we are in a processional cycle where we are basically coming back to our original North Star, which I think I don't know, the 25,850 years, like about 26,000 years that the Earth goes through what they call a processional cycle, or I think it's the Kali Yuga. And so these go through each of the zodiacs for like, I don't even know, 2,000 years, right? And so we're moving out of the Piscean age, that was like that 2,000 years, which is, if you think of the Piscean energy, it's very dreamy, but yet it's also the emotions, and it also has, kind of the depths. And when it's off balance, it's more of maybe that, I don't know the word. I'm not an astrologist, but
I'm
it's
not
more
either.
like kind of be that shadowy. There's like shadowy depths of emotions that are coming up, and things being trying to be covered when it really wants to be exposed. And so now we're moving into this Aquarian age where, we're really in this 200-year window right now, where the old has got to go so we can really step into the light, the golden light, the golden era, the Aquarian age, which brings in leadership and brings in harmony and you know, really working in harmony, like you said, with each other and with the planet. And so yeah, it's literally been proven, like that's the cycle that we are on. And so, you know, the age of Aquarius, even that song from what the 60s or 70s, age of Aquarius.
Yeah.
I'm not a singer, but I mean, they were talking about it then. So it's like it is really happening. And I do think that we're opening up. Well, I think for I can't say for everybody, because not everyone is on the same timeline. Some people will never be connected to their spirituality, and that's okay. Some people might just dabble in it, and that's okay. But like for someone like me, like it is what's driving me. Like it is like I
Yeah.
deny the flow that moves through me. And so I just have to like give it space where it needs it. And so I feel like, you know, we are opening up and awakening because of the destruction that's happening on the earth, like to be activists or to be guides or to be the way showers, the ones holding the torches, you know, the ones who are speaking a different truth than what we've been told, right? And again, everyone's truth is different, so you always want to honor everyone where they're at. And I understand that, you know, like I can't change other people's opinions, but what I can do is share from an authentic space. And that's what I try to do. I try to share from that authenticity and that even sometimes vulnerability, because it's hard. It's not an easy path. Like choosing to
No.
align with your divinity and be on that spiritual path is difficult. But with
Yeah.
it comes so much, because like you said, we're opening up those doorways. And I think our gifts are coming online because many of us are meant to be the oracles for the future. And not only that, but the prophecies of the past are starting to be fulfilled, and we are now prophesizing the new world. And so I feel like some of us are also on that path through our creative endeavors, through our business, through our family, through our relationships, through our spirituality. We are the prophets of the future. And we're doing that through our stories. We're doing that through what I just spoke of. And so it's really powerful. And feel like that's why we're rising. I feel like that's why we're getting this call. That's why 2020, so many of us like woke up, because it's like stuff is not going well on the earth, and we need to figure out solutions that are going to assist humanity and the earth to not just survive, but thrive.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, I do think that there are people that are not signed up to awaken, and that is okay. Like they don't want to they I guess they don't want to experience that in this lifetime, you know? That's the way I kind of look at it. But yeah, absolutely. I think what I like to look like what I like to remember just with any type of art you make, music, you know, painting, whatever. It's a reminder that we are creators. And what is creators? Like God is a creator. We are a piece, you know, we're remembering how we are a part of source, a part of God, and how we're here. The way that I view it is we're here to understand ourselves through all these different lenses. Um, so every time we make a piece of art or create something like that, I feel like that's an honoring to God. It's an honoring to who we are on the inside. And it helps us to not only get to know ourselves better, but others to get to know themselves better. Because if we're all looking at each other, trying to understand ourselves as this perspective of God, I guess, you know, like that's our truest form of self-expression is through art, right? So yeah, I definitely agree. Like this is a time of remembering that 100%, and that anyone who is just sharing that part of them through art, through even like this. To me, this is art. That it is an important part of this process. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree, and I feel that, and I feel like let's paint our world, right? What's that? It's like you're an empty canvas or you're a blank canvas. So it's like, how do we want to paint it now? How do we want to move forward? Um, what do we really want our world to look like? And so art, dance, movement, expression, it all matters. It all matters.
Yeah, it does. And how do we want this world to look like? Because, like, I don't have all the answers, when it comes to what's happening on a bigger scale, but I like this idea of like coming together, combining our powers, and like, doing things that are making a difference in small ways, in ways that we can make a difference in our little world. Because I feel like just like your vision you had, this weaving, just like a little bit of weaving here, a little bit of weaving there, like it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. So yeah.
Yeah. It's that refinement process of ourselves, of our soul, of yeah, weaving through. Mm.
Yeah, I love that. That makes me so excited. And like, I think anytime you feel this, like, if that's what drives me too, otherwise I wouldn't, it's because it's scary a bit to be this out about like, kind of these woo things, you know what I mean? And I definitely have had, family like make comments about it. So it's not like that easy to like, be this out about it, I don't care as much anymore, but yeah. But that passion of like this feels important to me is what drives me also. So I feel like anytime, and like if I were to offer any advice to anyone who's listening, anytime you feel that fire just kind of hit your body, like that is spirit, that is spirit speaking to you, that is your higher self saying, yes, yes, this is where you're supposed to be right now, right here. Keep going, keep following that feeling.
Yeah, and the goosebumps, like that's for me. I get the whole body chills, like even like
Me too.
every part of my body gets chills, and I'm like, okay, that's a yes, that's truth for me. So we all have our own little tells, but I yeah, that's so important. And it is difficult. And I'll just say that I also have had family, like my extended family don't really talk to me anymore because of my spiritual outlook. But again,
Yeah.
I think it's more out of fear because they don't understand all of it. Like, how can you also celebrate, Mother Mary and Jesus and also talk to light beings and dragons and fairies, and how do you talk about all of these things? How does it all go together? They're not seeing how I've been weaving it together for a lot, well, let's say lifetimes, right? And how it's
Yeah.
something that, like you said, it just moves through us. And when we feel that fire, when we feel those tingles, like, that is, for me, that's our hell yes, go.
Yeah. And I always try to like weave it all together for it to make sense. But what I have found, like when you dive into these worlds, the best thing to do is not to try to make sense of it because it just is, Like with some people, you see a dragon, with some people, you see an entity, and then other people, it is like Mother Mary or Saint Michael or Jesus or something. And a part of me feels like it's just you kind of jumping into other people's little worlds, little like perspective bubbles, But yeah, yeah, and I no shame to the family members who have, they don't understand totally, and I think they're working from this perspective, I guess, because I was told like just even like having my Facebook or Instagram being so out there, I'll never get another job again or whatever, and I was like, I don't know when I like signed up that my Facebook and Instagram was my resume for like I'm just constantly thinking about finding jobs or work or whatever, that I can't just be like myself. So, but that's where that's where they're coming from, this kind of
Yeah.
place. Yeah. So
and
yeah.
and that's where, yeah, and that's where we're moving from, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
lot of our roots are still like our ancestors, our family members, they don't always understand like what. But like, yeah, we just got to keep going and keep trusting and having that faith and surrendering when we need to and letting go when we need to and diving in when we need to. It really does it does matter. It does matter. Yeah.
It absolutely matters. All of this is important to me, and I really believe in what I'm doing. Otherwise, I wouldn't do it. And um, I think it's helping in some way. So yeah.
Well, I know the ones that the artwork that I've had from you, and I've even had a reading, a couple, maybe it was one reading, but the other readings that came with the artwork, like it was exactly what I needed to reassure myself that I'm okay.
Yeah.
It's like confirmation, like, okay, take a breath. It's all right. It's okay. Like, again, our thinking mind wants us to figure it all out. But like you said, sometimes it's just let it be, let it flow, let us do what it does. And as we're in that space, like it moves, it transmutes, it's not necessarily that we have to react from every little situation, but just allow it to be, and more of us unfolds that way.
Yeah, absolutely. It allows room for these crazy doors to open that sometimes you're like, wait a second, maybe I want to shut that one. What did I just open up? Shit, now I gotta do,
Yeah.
I have to be in my body. Damn, this is hard. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had some pretty strange experiences with clients and things before too, and I'm like, I don't think I want to work with that right now, but I had to like, oh
Oh,
yeah,
really?
it's okay, it's all good. Well,
Yeah.
I work with like a lot of entity removal, so I often will see
Oh,
like the negative things that are stuck or attached on people, and so
oh
helping to clear
wow.
those. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
sometimes I gotta like, you know, ground and stay really present and just be like, it is what it is. It's coming to me for a reason. Let's move it out.
Yeah. Do they
But I
tell you like why? Like, oh, sorry. I was just gonna ask
also,
like, and maybe we're at the time limit, but I was just gonna ask like, when these entities like, do you ever have like deep conversations with them about like why they're attached to this person, whatever? Like, do some leave like
usually
kind of nice, you
like
know?
if
Like,
I'm doing like a soul reading, like if it's something that needs like the person needs to know about, because I'm usually doing it with the person right in front of me, so I don't have a lot of time to go in super deep. But what usually happens is like if it's a story or a pattern or even ancestral ties that are keeping them stuck in this life, if they need to be aware of it, then I'll bring that forward. But a lot of times we don't even always need to know exactly what it is. We just need to like start to clear that process. So it depends on each person. But I've also had like weird things crawling on the ceilings and like vacuum
uh,
sucky things crawling on the floor, like very unconscious energies, like playing out in the fields, right? And so helping to clear those, and that's when I also bring in my angelic support and help to clear and send them on their way. And once in a while I might get some other information from it. I usually will get a little bit, but I don't go into huge stories with it, because again, it's usually the person's laying on the table, like I'm working with
yeah.
their womb, or I'm working with ancestors and things. So it's always unique for each person. And that's one thing, is that I've always held a lot of fear. Like I've just been programmed to fear, to have fear
Yeah.
in me.
Yeah.
And so I've really had to work on being in that neutral state in order to do this work that I'm called to do. And so it's like that shadow priestess that literally goes into the underworld and is working with the underworld to help resolve things that are happening in the middle world.
Yeah. That fear is something interesting to talk about, but yeah, because I've experienced like some of that, but I guess I'm less afraid now that I've been doing it, and like I think it's interesting that these emotions, these cycles in our body we can actually create these entities outside of us, or even call them in. You know what I mean? Like I'm not sure exactly like if it's calling them in, or if they're going crazy, or if it's us actually creating them, in the ether, basically. Yeah.
I
It's
think it
cool.
could be
It's
both.
interesting. Yeah. I do too. Yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
we should
I know
we should talk
we're kind
about
of
that
going
more.
off here.
We have to talk more in depth about that later. Yeah.
I'm like, we're kind of going off. It's been an hour, but
Yeah.
it's been amazing to
Okay.
talk to you. So I want to ask you just a couple like
Yeah.
bonus questions. All right.
Okay.
Because I know that we can go into this whole other thing and it's very exciting.
Okay.
Okay, so let's just talk a little bit. What are some practices that actually can help you connect to your womb and your inner guidance?
Breath work. I think breath work, taking a bath, and going outside and being with nature. Those are like the things that like hit me right away. Because I know, like I said, I know when my body is out of alignment, like my womb will tell me I won't get my period, and I know that like I need to reconnect, I need to reground. And so like if I go, do a couple of days of like walking, bath, breathing, just being present, like I can balance myself back out. Yeah.
And I love that because each of those have their own element to them, right? So you have the breath, which is the breath of life, which is the air element, right? You have the
Yeah.
water, which is like the womb waters, right? And
That's
then you have
true.
going out
Yeah.
in nature, which is like the earth, and it's also, the sky. It's the ether energy too. So those things are they just weave in perfectly.
And it works. I know it sounds cheesy because like everyone's like, yeah, yeah, ground, whatever. But like I am telling you, like even yesterday I was having a hard time getting in my body. I went for an hour walk and I was fine. I came home and I just like I felt so much better and I took a nap and like yeah, it just works. Yeah.
Well, if you think about, Earth, she's magnetic, so she'll pull the energies from you. So you can decharge your energy into her, and
Yeah.
that's what you're doing, and all the other elementals and the fairies and the tree spirits and the plant and animals, they're all here to support us in that as well. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
you said that because that's a huge thing for me. We've had nasty smoke in the air. So for the last 2 days, I haven't
Yeah,
been able
too.
to really be outside. So
Yeah.
I'm missing that. Okay. So last fun little question. Okay.
Okay.
When you think of a goddess, what foods come to mind to nourish the body, the mind, and the soul?
What foods? Oh gosh.
It's just for fun. It
I
can be anything.
It's just okay. Because like I just eat really not great. That's something on my agenda. But foods for nourishing the mind, body, and soul. I mean, obviously, the more natural, the better. I immediately start thinking green juices, things like that. Avocado. I don't know why that came in my head.
Yes, like the
um,
green goddess. Yes.
yeah. So that's hitting me. And things like that, like green juice. For some reason, the spirit wants to say avocado. And I also like really resonate with like teas and stuff. Like I'm drinking tea right now, like dandelion tea, nettle tea. Like I'm really into that type of stuff. When it comes to really nourishing our bodies. So yeah, I always the more natural, the better, of course. Less sugar. Yeah.
Well, I love
I
that.
think it's funny
I'm a
the
big
avocado thing. Like,
well,
where's
and
that?
that's
Yeah.
healthy fats. So maybe that's something your body needs.
Yeah, maybe that's what. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's also smoothie. It's smooth and creamy and like delicious.
Yeah. It feels very nurturing for some reason to like open an avocado and like it's like yeah.
Yeah.
Because the vegetables and juicing are if that of course that it's great, but like it's the avocado has like more substance to it. I don't know. Yeah.
Mm.
Crazy
So
crazy messages.
I love it though, and it's all for purpose. So
Yeah.
somebody that's watching this later is going to be like, I need to go open up an avocado.
Yeah, hell yeah. Do it. You're a
All right.
goddess.
So last little thing here. If you have a message for humanity at this time, what would it be?
I instantly go back to this idea of you are a creator. I really feel it's important to remind people that you are the creator of your reality. You are the creator of your life. and that, that is where we hold God. Yeah, I think I'll keep it simple at that.
I love that so much. All right. So
Yeah.
how can people find you?
You can find me on Instagram, Facebook at Soul Art by Leslie. My website is under construction right now, and then also on TikTok, Soul Art by Leslie.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to put that stuff in the description of the video. And I just want to
Okay.
say thank you so much for joining me. Like, I just love our conversations and how we can just, just just
Yeah.
with it. I love it. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. This is amazing. I really appreciate it.
Right. All right. We'll talk soon.
Okay. Bye.